Today we are going to talk about sexual harassment and how it interferes with everyone's right to a safe school or work environment. Sexual harassment can happen once or many times. Both the victim and the harasser can be either a woman or a man, and the victim and harasser can be the same sex. The harasser can be the victim's supervisor, a supervisor in another area, a co-worker, or someone who is not an employee of the employer, such as a client or customer. Being the target of sexual harassment may make it hard to concentrate or scary to go to school or work. Incidents of sexual harassment may cause the targeted person to feel uncomfortable, embarrassed, or threatened. Their school or work environment is no longer a place they feel safe. Sexual harassment includes threats, rewards for sexual acts, calling someone inappropriate or disrespectful names, unwanted touching, making offensive gestures, jokes, or showing inappropriate pictures. Sexual harassment also includes criticizing or insulting someone's sexuality, including a person's sexual orientation. It could result from making comments about someone's clothing or body. The harassment builds up the ego of the giver by bringing down the self-esteem of the receiver. Harassment is also used by the person with social or situational power as an abuse of that power. Regardless of whether the person experiencing the behavior finds it unwanted or not, it is sexual harassment if it creates a negative environment for others. So, if the person is okay with the behavior, but a coworker is offended, it could still be considered sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is any unwanted sexual attention, and it is defined by the person who received the attention. Some behaviors may be appropriate within your family, friendships, or personal relationships, but may not be appropriate or welcome in a work setting. Sexual harassment is unwanted, makes a person feel threatened, uncomfortable, uneasy, disgusted, embarrassed, or lacking control of the situation. If someone says that a behavior makes them uncomfortable, then it becomes sexual harassment if it continues. Flirting. Flirting can feel exciting, silly, fun, and playful. Flirting can make a person feel good about being noticed or that the other person is attracted to them. You can see in the picture that the two students are both smiling at each other and facing each other. It appears that they are both comfortable with and like each other. If both people involved in the situation are okay with it, it is flirting. Flirting is okay. It's fun, it's funny, it's healthy. How someone reacts to flirting will depend on how they feel about the other person and how the flirting made them feel. Let's talk about flirting now as a class. Think about situations where you have flirted with or had someone flirt with you. Describe the situation and how it made you feel. So we discussed situations that involved flirting. Now let's talk about when flirting becomes sexual harassment. Someone may think they are just making a harmless joke or flirting with the other person and not realize how uncomfortable they are making the other person feel. So if the other person ends up feeling embarrassed, ashamed, afraid, or uncomfortable, the feelings are not shared by them, and the flirting is just one way or one-sided. If the other person continues to flirt with them, this has become sexual harassment. As a class, we are going to talk about situations that might be considered sexual harassment and not flirting. What if you kept on asking someone out after they told you no? Or maybe you've experienced this yourself, where someone keeps asking you out even though you've told them no. Be careful how long you look at someone, because this can make people uncomfortable. It can be considered staring. Do not touch people you don't know, even on the shoulder. Do not talk about personal things with coworkers or customers at work. Remember that some behaviors may be appropriate within your family, your friendships, or personal relationship, but may not be appropriate or welcome in a work setting. Examples of this could be hugs, touching someone's arm, leaning on or against someone, or putting an arm around someone's shoulder. These behaviors may not make everyone uncomfortable, and they may be normal in many people's lives. These behaviors can be a sign of friendship, too. Everyone is raised with different personal boundaries, and some of these behaviors could make a person feel uncomfortable with a coworker or supervisor. Socializing and flirting are for breaks, lunches, and after school or on the weekends. When you are at work, you are expected to do your job and stay on task. You are also expected to keep your behaviors appropriate so that your coworkers and customers feel safe and comfortable in the environment you share with them. This means using appropriate language and behavior with all of your coworkers and with all of the customers. Engaging in behaviors that make others uncomfortable could get you fired from your job. We have talked today about what sexual harassment looks or feels like. It is important to remember that when a situation takes place that feels like sexual harassment to someone, they may not say anything at first. The person may be too embarrassed, uncomfortable, or afraid to speak up. Often, the first reaction is to try to ignore the behavior and act like it is not upsetting, especially when the person is outnumbered by a group of people. The person being harassed is hoping that the behavior will stop if he or she does not react, and may think it will only get worse if they do. It may, however, only get worse if it is ignored, because the person who is doing the harassing may think his or her behavior is acceptable. Sometimes the harassing person can just be following the crowd and not thinking about what he or she is doing, or may think the person likes the attention. It can be very confusing for everyone involved. If you experience sexual harassment, or if you witness someone else be sexually harassed, tell your teacher, boss, job trainer, or another trusted adult. Sexual harassment is not tolerated in school or at workplaces, and there are rules in place to protect you.